Okay, good morning, guys. I was just
Good
waiting
morning,
for.
sir.
Good
Good
morning, good
morning,
morning.
sir.
Okay, we'll start. It's already 10 to, so we already waited for 2 minutes. So I hope my sound is audible to you guys, and you guys can hear me. We couldn't have this lecture on Tuesday, so we'll try to cover that. Now, actually, in the first unit, we are still left with two important topics. One is knuckle joint, and one is design of levers. So hopefully I will need 4 lectures for that. One lecture for theory part of knuckle joint, one for numerical, and similarly one for the theory part of the lever and one for the numerical. Probably lever we may need another lecture. So in 4 to 5 lectures we will be finishing this unit. But we have taken much more. I mean actually they have given 10 lectures as per the syllabus, but I have taken 16, 17. I will be taking 16, 17 lectures. The reason that I want to you guys to be very clear on what is design and all that, and there is no point in making what you can say going too fast. So anyway, so that today we will spend time on understanding knuckle joint, design of the knuckle joint, and then if possible we'll try to finish it today. And in tomorrow next lecture we will try to take a numerical of that. Okay. So I hope I am audible. Again, as I always say, if you have any kind of query, kindly put that in the chat. I will keep a close watch on chat. Okay. Hope I'm audible. Chalo. So let's start. I will share my presentation with you. By the way, my presentation, I have finished it with all the topics. So it is around 70 pages presentation. As I promised, I will be sharing my presentation with you guys at the end of the unit. So you will have all the, whatever we are discussing in the presentation, you will have that with you. All the videos I have uploaded on YouTube. I have shared the link on WhatsApp as well as those are available in the Google Classroom. So you can see the links and all other presentation, everything is there in the Google Classroom. So you don't even need me for unit one. Once this unit is finished, all the data, all the notes, presentation and video, everything is available. Okay. So we'll start with design of knuckle joint. Let me share presentation with you guys. Okay, share screen. I want to share my presentation with you guys. Okay, so now today's topic is design of knuckle joint, and then if possible, we'll try to take a numerical in the next lecture. Okay, so knuckle joint. Now you guys know what is knuckle actually. Where our fingers are joined to our palm, that part is actually knuckle. So there how the or how the knuckle joint you can just imagine. Basically there are what you can say four kind of thing. It will have a slots and another thing will fit in it, and basically they are joined with some pin or something like that. In our bones, it is we have small bones there, right? To have this kind of joint. So if you see any finger, like say if you check your point finger or middle finger, you will see you can move the finger in angular. You can have a angular movement, but only in one plane. Just try to move your finger and see you can move your finger, but in only one plane you can move it. You cannot move it 360, right? You cannot move it 360. Like say, like you can try to have a what you can say mutti, and you can rotate your this thing in all 360 degree, but you can move your finger only in one plane. So it has angular movement, but it is only in one plane. It is not 360. Okay. So this kind of joint is called knuckle joint, and it is used in many places. You guys know various places. I don't know whether you can imagine where it is used. It is used in many places. All of you must. आवाज येते कोणाचा तरी. Who is that? I can hear some Pankaj Idane. I think you are not mute. Okay, you are mute now. I muted you. Okay, if any doubt, ask me, unmute me, and ask me. or you can put in a chart also. Okay. So where was I? A knuckle joint. Applications of knuckle joint. Where we use the knuckle joint, you guys know very good example of our tractor and trolley. Yeah, we just imagine that joint. That is a knuckle joint actually. It has a fork. See, like in my presentation, the first diagram it shows the knuckle joint. Okay, so it has a fork, like that. One is a fork end, one is the eye end. In between the fork and eye, they fit to each other, and they have a hole inside. And in that hole we put the knuckle pin. तुम्ही गावाला बघितलं असेल नकल पिन असते खालून त्याला एक लॉकिंग पिन पण असते. Okay, so this is what you can say main application in the that is one application. In the there are actually other applications like cycle chain. If you see cycle chain, it is also knuckle joint. All the different parts of the chains are joined to each other using knuckle joint. Okay, so like that there are many applications in like this transmission also it is used. I think there are bridges. It is also used in bridges. So there are many applications of knuckle joint. And what is the good part or the best part is it can move angular. It has an angular movement up to certain limit. Your two rods can have angle in between them, right? Because in the quarter joint that was not available. We have to have the both shafts in a shaft, or we can say rods in same axis. But here the axis can have an angle between them. Okay, so I hope it's clear now what is knuckle joint. Now what are the different parts of knuckle joint? As I said, there are basically main three parts. One is your eye end. Eye means it's having only one hole. One is your fork end. It will go basically above and below of the eye, and all those three holes will be matching. Okay, and if that hole, your knuckle pin will fit. So knuckle pin will be little bit loose. If it is too loose, it will fail because of the bending. I think we talked about it. And if it is perfect fit, then it will fail because of the shear. Okay, so it has three parts: eye end, fork end, and knuckle pin. This fork end is also called two-eyed because it has two eyes. Okay, these are the parts of the what you can say a knuckle joint. Now just try to try to imagine how it will fail, and which what you can say what are different diameters or dimensions we will need for the design. Just try to imagine that. Okay, what are the for design perspective, what are different dimensions I will need? Just just try to imagine and tell me. You cannot tell me, but just try to see what are the different parts. First you will be needing the dimension of the rod. Okay, the two rods you are joining, you will be needing the diameter of the rod. And if you see, there is also one more enlarged diameter of the rod. The rod where the rod is joined to the eye, the diameter there is one more. The diameter is larger. It is increased to increase the strength. Okay, so diameter of the rod is one thing. Then you must have the diameter of the what you can say pin has two diameters. Head is one is head diameter of the pin, and one is the other pin diameter. Okay, these are the different dimensions in the next sheet. Okay, these are the different dimensions we have to find out. First is the diameter of rod, as I told you, diameter of each rod, D. Now D1 is 1 point, actually generally is 1.1 times of the, if you see where the P is shown, just near the P, the diameter is enlarged. It is diameter is little bit more because to increase the strength. Okay, where the rod is joined to the this knuckle joint, they have enlarged diameter. That is shown by the symbol D1. Okay, then there is small d, that is diameter of the knuckle pin, that is the main diameter, pin diameter. Okay, then outside that D0 is outside diameter of the eye or fork. Okay, if you see D0, the outside diameter of the both of, see all three will have same inside diameter and same outside diameter. So D0 is the outside diameter of the fork, and D will be the inside diameter of the fork, which is the diameter of your pin also. Okay, so you have got basically what you can say 4 diameters: rod diameter, enlarged diameter of the rod, then inside diameter of the fork, outside diameter of the fork, and that inside diameter of the fork will be the diameter of your knuckle pin. Okay, and there is one more diameter that as I told you, the head of the knuckle pin has to be more than what you can say D, but it should be less than D0 because it should not be more than the diameter of the fork. So it is that we use the symbol D1 for that. Okay, so we got 5 diameters. D1, capital D1, those are the for the rod. Then D for the small d as the knuckle pin diameter, D0 as the fork outside diameter, and D1 as the knuckle pin head. Okay, so 5 diameters, and then we have to find out thickness of the fork. Like basically A and B are the thickness of the fork. If you see the fork and eye, they have thickness also, right? Eye's thickness is little bit more compared to your fork, because fork has 2 eyes, right? So that thickness is less, fork thickness, but thickness of the eye is more. So those thickness of the fork is denoted by symbol A, and thickness of the eye is denoted by symbol B. Okay, if you see the diagram, B is the thickness of the eye, and A, there are 2 A's, is thickness of the fork. Okay, so I hope it is clear that A and B, what are A and B? These are the thickness of the eye and fork. And then there is X is the distance of the center of the fork radius from the eye. So if you see the X, the we have to give curved shape to the fork, right? That fork, there are two eyes. Those has to be separated by a, what you can say, a curve. And that center of that curve is basically, it is a half circle. That center of that curve is at a distance X from this your end of this what you can say, end of this fork side of it, right? So that is and that diameter is R actually. Basically, if you see 2R is equal to B, capital R. What is R is radius of the curvature of the fork. Okay. If you if you take a diameter of that, it is equal to B. So you know that dimensions already. So we don't need to calculate that. So we have seen what dimensions we have to find out. We have to find out 5 diameters: diameter of the rod, enlarged diameter of the rod, diameter of the knuckle pin, diameter of the knuckle pin head, and outside diameter of the fork, and 2 distances A and B. Two not distances, we can call thickness of the fork and thickness of the eye. Okay, so I hope your dimensions are clear now. See in the bottom diagram, those D and D1 are clearly shown. D is the diameter of your rod, working diameter, and D1 is the enlarged diameter of the rod. Okay, so I think it is clear. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will proceed with the now design. Okay, let me check. There is something in the chat. Sir, is the diameter D of both the rods same? Yes, the diameter D of both the rod is generally the same. If you for by requirement, if you need it different, then you have to design it accordingly. You have to take the less diameter for your design, because that will fail. Okay, generally most of the cases both the diameters are same. Simran has asked me whether capital D is same for both the rod. So answer is generally most of the cases. If you take an example of cycle chain or any practical example, then it is generally the same. But if it is different, that is not a problem. But you will use less diameter, or diameter which is lesser for your design, because that will fail first. Okay, or it may not be necessary, because if your two rods are made up of different materials, then again not necessary the diameter having less diameter will fail first. Other rod might be having a weaker material. So it depends on the material and your, what you can say, diameter. So basically you, whatever I'm talking is now design part. So you will be doing the design, and whichever fail first, you will take that for your design. Okay, I hope I have cleared your doubt. Okay, so we'll proceed with the now actual design of this. Next. Okay, so now just try to imagine how this thing will fail, and then you will see the design. Now see how these 3 parts will fail. See now, if we are having a load, as we know, or as you guys already know the procedure of the design, that we'll take a load in one rod, and then pass that load along our whole mechanism, and then that load will be gone to the other part. So assume that load is P on this knuckle joint, we are putting a load P. That load will be transferred. Say if it is maybe coming from I or maybe fork, wherever it is. If it is coming from I, then it will be divided into 2 parts, P1, P2, P by 2, P by 2, and then it will be applied on the knuckle pin, and then knuckle pin will undergo that transfer that load to the I. Or if it is coming from I, you will have P, it will go to the knuckle pin. Knuckle pin will divide in two parts, and it will go to the fork. And again, it will be combined and given to the fork. So like that, sorry, like that, your load will be transferred. So this is free body diagrams are will be like this. Your fork will have two loads, P by 2, P by 2. Your eye will have one load, P, and your knuckle pin will have basically it will be a kind of simply supported beam. It will have two ends will have P by 2, P by 2, and at the center there will be P. Okay, so hopefully the loads are clear. Now just try to imagine how these things will fail. Okay, or what what are the different failure criteria we have to think about. Just now think about, say we'll go from the left. Now first the rod. Okay, there is no query or nothing in the chat, so I am assuming everything is okay. Okay, so I am proceeding with the, now we will see the design criteria, or what are different failures of the knuckle joint. Okay, so first we will obviously will see the design of the rod. We have to find out the diameter of the rod. How we will find that out? Stress is equal to load upon area. Now first we will know the material for rod, fork, knuckle pin, and your eye. For all the parts, we know the know the material. Okay, this is the material we are going to use. So we'll know the we have seen this procedure in the numerical of the quarter joint. Okay, from the SYT or the limiting stress, we'll use the factor of safety to calculate allowable stress, allowable sigma T or sigma C, allowable tensile stress, allowable compressive stress. Okay, we'll get those stress. Working stress is equal to sigma T is equal to your SYT by a factor of safety. Okay, so we know the working stress tau is equal to 0.5 of SYT upon factor of safety, half of your working sigma T. So we know allowable shear stress, we know allowable compressive tensile stress. So for all materials, if the material is same for all of them, you will calculate that only once. But if the material is different, you will be having those different for you. Like say fork might be have a different material and pin might have a different material. So you will calculate different sigma T for each material in that case. Okay. So now what we have allowable stresses. So now first part is your rod. So sigma is stress in the rod is equal to load upon area. Now what is the load? P is the load. And what is the area of your rod? Pi by 4 d square. So you know sigma T is equal to P upon pi by 4 d square. So using this equation, you can calculate D. We know P, we know sigma T allowable stress. Okay, so we can calculate the diameter of the rod. So first part, now failure of this rod will be direct tensile or compressive failure. Okay, normal failure, direct failure. Okay, so our rod is done now. We know the rod. Now enlarged rod diameter is taken with some empirical equation 1.1 or 1.2, whatever it is. The equation will be D1 will be capital D1 will be 1.1 of capital D. It is simply we have to take a larger diameter to make it more in the strength. Now we'll come to the we'll try to see how the your fork will fail. Just try to imagine how it will fail. Now you have knuckle pin inside it and you are putting a load P. How it will fail, or what different ways it will fail? First, it will fail because of shear, right? Now, how to imagine shear? Just imagine that it is made of a soft material. It is made of a gavacha pit, like what you can say, mold or very soft material, like a soft steel or clay. Just make it of a clay. How it will fail? Soft clay. If you put a knuckle pin, it will shear. This part which is in front of this knuckle pin, it will come out. Okay, I will show that in the diagram, how the shear failure will happen. Okay, right now we are just talking about the failures. Okay, if you see, this is I, and this is, where is the fork? Actually, fork and I will have same kind of failure. If you see here in this diagram, whatever on the slide right now, if you see the second diagram, this is a shear failure. Whatever is in front of this your pin, that will come out if it is made of a soft material. So shear will have, it will be double shear, top and bottom. Okay, so it will be same failure for the shear, your fork as well as eye. Both of them shear failure will be same and your tensile failure will be same. Are you getting it? Okay, I will repeat. Now your fork and your eye will fail in either shear or in your tensile failure. Okay. Now how it will fail in shear? That's the second diagram. Knuckle pin is made of steel, and if your eye or fork is made of clay, it will the part which is in front of it will come out, and that area which is resisting that shear is top and bottom area where the P symbol is shown. Okay. Now we have to just find that area. That area will be multiplied by 2. It will be your shear resisting area. Got it? And now tensile failure, it will be, failure will be where the area or cross section is weak. Now it is basically, if you see the first diagram on the slide, it will be the top and it will be two areas, top and bottom. So addition of these two areas will be your area which is resisting to your regular, what you can say, tensile failure. Okay. So your eye and your fork will undergo two different failures: direct tensile failure and shear failure. Okay. So I hope it is clear now. We have done the design of the rod. Now we are doing the design of the fork and design of the eye. Those will go undergo same kind of failure, that is tensile failure and shear failure. Okay. We have to find out those areas. We'll talk about it, but let's first discuss the failure. Now now the third part, your pin. Okay. Now how the pin will fail? Now pin will fail in a many different ways. First is it will fail because of the bending. If it is loose, if the fitting is loose, it will fail because of the bending. Just try to imagine you have a rod, you are pulling at the center with force P, and two ends have force of P2. Like you are putting in a gym, your rod, you are pulling it. Yeah, that exercise is there. So that it will fail, it will bend, right? So it will undergo bending failure. It is a simply supported beam having a load at the center and supported at the two ends. So it will undergo bending. First is it will have a bending shape, bended shape. That is the first failure. Second failure, it will simply undergo shear like this. See this diagram I have shown shear. So if it is made of a soft material, how to imagine shear? Imagine if it is made of a soft material. Okay. So how if it is the pure knuckle pin is made of a soft material, it will come out. The center part will come on one side and top and bottom will go on the other side. So these two areas, pi by 4 d square multiplied by, because it is double shear, top and bottom, right? So area opposing shear is pi by 4, your small d square. So double that area becomes your double shear area. Okay. So you understood now the shear failure of the your knuckle pin. Okay. And there will be one more failure, that is the crushing failure. The load is coming from the front side. So it will be crushed. It will have a crushing load on that it is coming from the front side. So height of your, what you can say, pin multiply diameter of the pin will be the area which is opposing that crushing. So your pin will undergo three failures. What are those failures? Bending, crushing, and shear. Okay. Fine. So I will just repeat it once again so that you guys are clear. Rod will undergo simple tension or compression. Then your fork and eye will undergo shear failure and tensile failure. Okay. And your pin will undergo three failure: bending failure, shear failure, and crushing failure. Okay. Now we will try to see what are different areas which are opposing these failures, and then we are done with the design. Okay. Clear? So now we'll go one by one with all different failures, and we'll try to see what are the formulas for those. Now first, tensile failure of the rod. We have gone through this. Sigma T is equal to P upon A. Area is pi by 4 capital D square. Clear? So D capital D is equal to root 4P upon pi sigma T. We know P, we know sigma T, we can find out the diameter of the rod. Clear? The area which is opposing the failure of the rod is pi by 4 capital D square. Okay? Clear? Now D1, as I told you, we use empirical formula, which should be more than that. We generally, capital D1 is equal to 1.1 times, or it is 10 times more than capital D. Okay. Any doubt till now? Let me just check our chat. Nothing is there. So I hope everything is going smoothly. Now, second, so we are done with the first failure. We did the design of the rod, that is capital D and capital D1. Okay. Now, pin. We talked about it, shear failure. How the pin will fail? Just imagine it is made of a soft material and your eye or fork are very strong, like steel. How it will fail? It will simply, the center part will come out, right? So what is the area opposing that? It is area cross section area of the pin, pi by 4 d square. but it is opposing from the two, top and bottom. So it is a double shear. So tau is equal to shear stress, allowable shear stress is equal to P upon area. Area is 2 into pi by 4 d square. So with this, we know D is equal to 2P upon pi tau. We know P, what is the load. We know what is allowable shear stress. We can find out the diameter of the knuckle pin. Clear? Okay. But generally, what we do? Generally, the D comes little bit smaller, right? Or it is generally it is equal to D. Now, just to make one thing clear, just try to compare formulas for capital D and small d. Capital D is equal to root of 4p upon pi sigma t, and small d is root of 2p upon pi sigma tau. Pi tau, not sigma, pi tau. Okay. So generally what we do, we take the diameter of the knuckle pin as the diameter of the rod. Okay, just to be more safe. Okay, generally they come same. We take D is equal to knuckle pin diameter equal to diameter of the rod. Okay, now crushing failure, we talked about it. What is crushing failure? It is the pin is getting crushed from the front side, from the front. Now what is the D? D is basically diameter of the rod. That is your width of the crushing, right? And what is the length of the crushing? Length of the crushing is B. That is your B is what you can say the thickness of the your eye and fork, right? That's where it is getting crushed, right? So it is getting crushed in two places. It is getting crushed in your eye, and it is getting crushed in a fork. What is in an eye? What is the thickness of the eye? It is B. So area of the opposing area which is opposing the crushing is thickness of the eye into diameter of the rod. See the diagram, it is clearly shown. The crushing, it is what is the cross section area? Your length into your diameter. What is D? D is diameter of the knuckle pin, and what is in case of eye, it is B, length is. So sigma C is P upon BD, and in case of fork, now the thickness of the fork is A, but it is two places it is getting crushed. The crushing is opposed by two places, or top and bottom part of the fork, right? So that's why we multiplied by 2. Like now the crushing area which is opposing the crushing area of the pin which is opposing the crushing is diameter into thickness, right? But it is in case of fork, the crushing is opposed by in two places. So that's why we are multiplying it by 2. So sigma C in case of fork will be P upon 2 AD. Okay. I hope it is clear now how the crushing will happen or how the crushing is opposed. Again, stress is equal to load upon area. Load is P, and the area opposing the crushing in case of I is BD, and in case of fork it is 2AD, because there are two areas. Okay. Now bending failure of the pin. Now we talked about it. How the bending failure will happen is basically simply we are using bending equation. M upon I is equal to sigma B upon Y. M is equal to bending moment upon I is your moment of inertia. In case of knuckle pin, it is a rod. So that cross section area is circle. So I is pi by 64 d raised to 4. Okay. I'm looking at, just take a look at the second line, second last line. Sigma B is equal to MB upon I into Y, or M upon I is equal to sigma B upon Y. We have to find out sigma B. We know what is the allowable bending stress, sigma B. Okay. MB we have to find out. Y we have to find out. I is equal to pi by 4, pi by 64 d raised to 4. Now Y is what? It's basically d by 2. Where the bending, the area, external diameter, external, what you can say, not diameter, but the external part of this, your pin is your Y. It is d by 2. Now MB, bending moment, we have to find. So now just, I don't want to go into too much details because it will take a lot of time. And, that's why I just want to. But we are using a knowledge of SOM here, that this just try to see it as a simply supported beam. It is supported, the forces from the bottom are P by 2, and the top load we can divide into two parts. It is, and this top part is applied. See now, X is equal to 1 by 3A. A, because what they assume that on the eye the load is uniform, but on the fork the load it gradually decreases. From at the edge it is at the near the center it is maximum, and it goes to 0 as it goes outside. Okay, so that's why if you see the diagram, it is triangular in shape. So what, because of that, what happens? The load is, the application of the load is 1/3 from the right hand side in case of say left part, okay, or 2/3 from the left hand side. Okay, I see. As I said again, explanation of this will need you the knowledge of sum. So it is the distance is a by 3. P by 2 will be applied at a distance a by 3. What you can say from the right hand side for the left hand side, and for the right hand side force, it is from the left hand side. It is a by 3. Okay. Now what will be the moment because of this? Moment will be P by 2, right, into half of B by 2 plus A by 3. See, if you see this equation, moment is equal to MB. Okay. P by 2 into B by 2 plus X. Now X is, as I told you, 1/3 because it's in triangular in shape. It is 1/3 of this distance A by 3. So moment from the bottom, which is in a clockwise direction, moment will be, I'm taking a look at only the left half portion. Just we are analyzing that. So that moment will be load into distance. Now load is P by 2 and distance is, first part is B by 2 and the next part is A by 3. Okay, so that is clockwise moment, and anti-clockwise moment will be P by 2 from the top, P by 2 into half of B by 2, because see the distance is it is from the center, it is at a distance of half of B by 2. It's basically B by 4. So if you see the equation, it is P by 2 into B by 4 plus A by 3. So this is the bending moment we have. Okay. If you have any doubt about this equation, you can ask me again. But it's a simple sum logic. It's a simple calculation of the moment. It's very simple. Either consider left half or consider right half. Whatever way, you will get the bending moment same. That bending moment is equal to P by 2 into B by 4 plus A by 3. Okay. So we know the bending moment MB. We know Y, that is D by 2. We know I, pi by 64 d raised to 4. We can calculate sigma B. So once we know sigma B, allowable bending stress, and we know load, we know A and B, we can find out, or we know D, we can find out A and B. Okay. So with this equation, we can find out the different, what you can say, thicknesses of the fork and die. Okay. Now tensile failure of the next. Now we'll see. Now go through the other failures of the eye and fork. Now tensile. Okay, we have 5 minutes left, so we'll try to cover the basic part. A tensile failure of the eye, as I told you, P upon sigma T is equal to P upon area. Area is what? If you see, B is the thickness of the eye, and D0 minus D. D0 is what? What is D0? And what is D? D0 is the outside diameter of the eye or fork, and D is the diameter of the pin or inside diameter of the fork. So it's the outside diameter of the fork, inside diameter of the fork. So D0 minus D. So it is here we basically is R0 minus R into 2. But ultimately multiplied by 2 will give the diameter. Are you getting me? Cross section, there are two areas. If you see the first part of this diagram, the area is, there are two areas opposing the tensile failure. The thickness of this, what you can say, eye or fork, and this height is R0 minus R multiplied by two areas, 2. So it becomes D0 minus D. Okay, you are getting it. So sigma T is equal to P upon B into D0 minus D. That is the area opposing the tensile failure. Now shear failure, it is D0 minus D into thickness, right? But we have to take half of it and multiply, because it's a double shear, multiply that with D. Are you getting it? D0 minus D into, we have to multiply by B. Now we have to take half of it, and then because it's a double shear, one area will be what? D0 minus D2, right? Into B. It's basically same as this one. See, only consider now only top part. What is this area? D0 minus D1, difference of two diameters, into thickness. And because where it is only R, it's basically R0 minus R into B, right? And again multiply, because it's a double shear, multiplied by 2, you will get the same equation. So tau is equal to P upon B D0 minus D. Okay, clear? So shear failure of the eye will be tau is equal to P upon B into D0 minus D. Okay, if it is not clear, you can ask me. No doubt, no problem about it. Now similarly, tensile failure of the fork in the same way. Whatever we seen, Sigma t is equal to P upon B into D0. Similarly, sigma is equal to P into, instead of B here, there will be A, but fork has 2, top and bottom. So it multiplied by 2. 2 into A D0 minus D. And similarly, shear failure tau is equal to P upon 2 into A D0 minus D. Here only B, instead of thickness B, here thickness will be A, but because there are two areas, it will be multiplied by 2. Okay, generally what we do, we take A, thickness of the what you can say I, and thickness of the fork we take 0.75 D and B 1.25 D, means the I will be 1.25 times of your diameter of the rod, and A, there are two A's, top and bottom fork, so we take 0.75 of the D. Okay, and diameter pinhead, it has to be more than D, but it has to be less than the outside diameter of the fork. So we take D1 as 1.5 D. And X gap that we take as 10 mm. This is not that important, but this gap between the center of this curvature and end of the fork is we take 10 mm. Okay, so I think we have gone through all the dimensions. Now we'll see the problem. Do we have time? I think our time is done. Let me take the attendance first, guys. Okay, just give me 1 minute so that I'm taking attendance. In the next lecture, we will try to go through attendance. So we have completed we have gone through different failures. Okay, I took the attendance screenshot of that. So next lecture we will try to go through the procedure, and then I will take a numerical like what I did on the chalk and this thing blackboard. Okay. Okay. Any doubts? Just put me send me a message. I will try to answer your query. Okay. So hopefully there is no doubt, and I think the session will be closed very soon. Only maybe a couple of minutes left. Any doubt you guys have? Nobody has any doubt? I don't know whether you guys are listening or not, or simply sleeping. I hope
No,
you.
sir.
Okay, I hope you guys were listening. So if you have any kind of doubt, ask me. You can send me a message also. And after this, put your attendance on the link. Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Yes.
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next lecture we'll go through the design procedure and numerical. Okay. Thank you.